All right. David Vejar, man, thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
We're on the show. We're doing it.
Hell yeah. Glad to be here.
Yeah, thank you, man. So, how was the drive out here?
Drive was good. I was working in a diamond bar right now, and then I left around 1. Drove over here. It was a nice little drive. No traffic.
Okay. So, for people who don't know, David Vejar, Jiu Jitsu Practitioner. Actually, also, you're a pilot.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you're a pilot. How often are you out there flying in the skies?
I try to go once a week, but lately I've been going more, 2 times a week.
No kidding.
Yeah.
How'd you get into that?
So my dad, it all goes back to my past. My dad works for Delta Airlines. He's not a pilot, but he was a ramp agent. He was loading the bags on the airplanes, pushing the planes back. And then since he was a part of the airlines, me and my family were able to get a good hookup with the tickets.
Sick.
Yeah, so I was surrounded by that as a little kid, and I saw the planes, and I'm like, man, this is the coolest thing ever, like how how those big things could fly. And then I around my freshman year of high school, I was helping my sister move in, and I passed by Chino Airport, and there was a big sign. It said, "Learn to fly here." And then I was like, "Dad, we got to stop by. There's got to be something they can do. Like, we could try a flight or something." And surely enough, they offered like a demo flight for like 30 minutes. We scheduled it, and
What is that, a demo flight?
so basically, you go up with an instructor. He lets you take off. He lets you fly the airplane for like 30 minutes.
With no experience at all?
Nope. But he's always like shadowing the controls, and I did that, and it was best 30 minutes of my life.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And you went up with your dad. It was just you 3?
Yeah, me, my dad, and the instructor.
What kind of plane?
It was a low wing single engine airplane called a Piper Cherokee.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you've been doing that since when? How long have you been doing that?
So I've flown first time in my freshman year of high school, and then
That far, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I've been going once a year during my high school years, and then during COVID, I got a job at Vaughn's, and that's when I started going very consistently.
You got a job at Vaughn's during COVID?
Yep.
Is that what you said?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. That was probably like the only type of jobs they had available, or what was the deal? How'd you land that?
So it was close to my house, literally like a block away. I'm like, man, because like COVID was going on, I was doing nothing all day. I just graduated high school, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna apply here. I applied, and then I went over there. I was like, hey, let me talk to the manager. I want to work here.
Wait, so during the pandemic, they were allowing people to go up and fly in the planes?
Yep.
You were able to do that?
Yeah,
I
just
guess
had to wear masks.
Yeah, the mask. So what kind of planes can you fly? Like, so are you like licensed or I don't know what they call it, a permitted, or you have certain type of licenses that you could fly certain types of planes?
Yeah, so like I'm a private pilot, and that means it's like a driver's license. I could go pretty much wherever I want, day and night, take as many passengers as I want, and as long as it doesn't weigh more than 12,500 pounds or it's not a jet, I could fly it.
So that's got to be a pretty cool way to go on a date. You're dating, right? You have a girlfriend?
No, we actually split up quite a while back in October.
Oh, sorry.
But I did take her for our first date flying. Yeah.
So she must have really liked that, I'm sure.
Yeah, she was. I remember I took her to Temecula from Chino, and because there's like a nice little restaurant on the airport, you could park the plane, go there, eat, and as I was taking off and we were climbing, I just saw her. She was like just looking around. It's crazy.
She's
yeah,
like,
she was
wow,
so stunned.
that's probably a really cool first date for a girl to go on.
Yep.
The guy's got a pilot license.
Uh-huh.
And that was a pretty cool spot too. You went to Temecula because they have a lot of. You're probably not old enough to drink yet, right?
I am.
Oh, you are old
21.
enough to drink.
I'm at the prime age, baby.
But I'm sure you did it. Not with an airplane. But you guys went to a restaurant. I mean, that's like a really cool like story, where you go on a first date with a girl. Like how often, would a girl be able to say, "Oh man, I met this guy and we went on a first date and he took me in an airplane and we went to Temecula." Because I don't know if anybody's ever been to Temecula who's watching, but Temecula has a really cool like night scene, bar scene. Obviously they have wineries out there and stuff like that. And I've been to Temecula, But of course, I'd rather go in a 15-minute flight.
It was like 20.
20 minutes, right? I mean, driving out there is going to take you an hour or two.
Yeah. It's horrible.
Yeah, it's horrible.
That 15 freeway, man.
Exactly. So that's pretty cool, man. Anything, what's the coolest place that you've been to as far as, once you got your license, where's the coolest places you've gone?
Oh, that's a good one. I have like 3 I could think of at the top of my head. I like Ontario a lot, Ontario Airport, because it's my first international airport I've been to, and I thought it was so cool seeing all the big planes take off and like all the lights, and it's such a busy airport too. But the one I really enjoyed was Catalina Island.
Oh, that sounds cool. Yeah, I didn't even know they had an airport over there.
Yeah, dude, it's cool. It's like right on a cliff too.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Were you scared when you flew there for the first time?
No, because I flew with another pilot, and he's flown there a couple of times. So the approach there is kind of tricky, but it's so fun. There's a restaurant there, and there's a lot of things to do over there.
Oh, I love Catalina.
Yeah,
I took my family there once years ago. Expensive kind of place. It cost me like I got my tax return. I spent like $5,000-$6,000 out there. To take my family once. I remember that.
Damn.
Yeah, it's a lot because, we did the whole sea-doos and fishing and snorkeling and all this. I splurged.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah. But is Ontario the largest airport that you've been to?
Yeah, there. And then the second, I'd say it's Palm Springs.
Oh, Palm Springs. Oh, so you go to all like the real cool local Southern California stuff. Where's the farthest place you've ever been?
It's a little past Santa Barbara. It's called Santa Ynez.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the farthest I ever flown.
So what are your aspirations for that? Like, can you get on a plane and are you able to fly a plane large enough to go overseas or out of the country, things like that?
I mean, technically, I don't know about. I mean, it depends. Like if it's a turbine engine or if it weighs more. I mean, if I find a single engine plane that can fly across the Pacific, I'm taking it, man. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So how long did it take you to get a license to fly a plane?
So it could be done in as soon as a month, but
it
took me. Yeah, you would have to hustle because it's a lot of studying. Like the flying is the fun part of it, but the studying and then learning how to talk to an air traffic controller.
Yeah, that's the part that I think would make me nervous. What's your flight altitude? Oh shoot, I don't know. Let me check that out real quick.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to get comfortable with all that kind of stuff?
Speaking of air traffic control, it took me like a month. But I remember my first time I was about to push the button to talk. I'm like, oh, I'm doing this, and then like they're all cool now. Like I'll say, oh hey Tyler, like
right.
Obviously kind of keep it professional, but
Did they ever yell at you for doing something wrong? Like
no,
okay.
No, not yet. But I hear because there's a lot of student pilots flying around there, so they yell at a lot of people. But fortunately, I learned from not only my mistakes but other people's mistakes. So I try not to be a pain for them.
So to go a little further with this, because I think it's fascinating flying a plane. Like I myself have had, little boy daydreams about flying a plane, and I've even had that daydream as a young boy of flying a girl on a date.
Yeah,
I mean that's just it's cool. Like,
yeah,
it's so cool.
It's awesome.
Yeah,
I love it.
Right, like you know how guys can be. We romanticize about like a cool date like that. So I've certainly thought about that. How what about, like, say there's a guy out there who wants to be a pilot, and I know you were kind of getting into that, but how would they get started? Like, I know you said it takes about a month or so, on average for somebody, or maybe it took that long for you.
Yeah.
What would someone, like, do they need to be sponsored by somebody, or do they need to find a pilot willing to take them out? And like, how expensive is it to take on something like that?
So I was working a lot at Vaughn's. The biggest thing for me was money, because it's pricey. The gas, you think gas is expensive for cars? Look at the fuel.
Oh, I never thought of that.
Yeah.
Like, you got to be able to pay for your gas.
Yeah. So like all in all, my private pilot's license, it took like around 10 to 12K.
Wow. In that 1 month?
In 1 year. It took me 1 year.
Oh.
Yeah. It took me 1 year.
Well, what do you mean by private pilot's license as opposed to what? A beginner's license or?
So that's like you want to get your pilot's license. That's what it's called by the book, private pilot's license, and yeah, that's what it says. And it comes with some privileges, some limitations, you know. And,
but you have to fly with another pilot?
No, you could fly yourself. You could fly with passengers.
With a temporary license type deal?
No, it's an actual license. It's like a driver's license.
No, but the other one, the one where when you're just starting out, like obviously you're not going to fly a plane by yourself your first month, right?
Oh, right. So what the instructor can do, so once he knows you're not going to crash the plane, he'll sign an endorsement for you, and you get a student pilot's license, which kind of looks like the private pilot's license, and you could solo. Yeah, you could solo, but you can't take any passengers.
So you probably have to pay for the private pilot as well.
Yeah.
Wow.
But that's part of getting the private pilot's license. When you get the private pilot, that's like kind of the first step, and then the other ratings follow. But my instructor told me the private pilot's license is a license to learn.
Okay. So do you still remember the name of the school or pilot school or whatever it was that you went to?
Yeah, it's called Dubois Aviation.
Dubois.
Yeah, Dubois. It's spelled Dubous and aviation, and that's where I learned to fly.
Dude, that's sweet. So once you got this private license, and now you got this license, like, oh, shoot, I don't have a plane.
Yeah.
So what do? You rent a plane or?
Yeah, I rent a plane from them.
It's like a Hertz? Like it's just like a Hertz rental car?
Yeah, kind of,
rental
yeah.
pilot place?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm. And so if I was going to rent a plane and go out one time to San Francisco and back, say, for example, like what could that end up costing a person?
Well, for me, I flew to Palm Springs, and that I paid half since I flew with another pilot, but the total was like $300 from here to Palm Springs. So I'd say anywhere from $7,000 to $1,000 from San Francisco and back.
You said $7,000?
7,000. No, $700 to $1,000.
Oh, $700 to $1,000. Yeah. I guess that's not too bad.
Yeah.
You know, if you're working extra overtime over at Vons, I suppose.
Yeah. Luckily, I'm not there anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, I don't know. Being a pilot or, you know, learning to fly a plane, you know, especially when you think about like end of the world stuff.
Yeah.
Like, babe, who's going to learn to fly a plane? I remember thinking actually months back, I was like, well, I know David. If he doesn't have to take everybody he knows, he might be able to take me and my family.
Yeah, a lot of people talk to me about that. They're like, David, if there's like a zombie apocalypse, you're a pilot, you're a grappler, I'm coming to you.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. Speaking of grappling, man, so me and Anthony, I don't know if you saw my podcast with Anthony.
I did.
Aguilera. That was a lot of fun, and he had a lot of nice things to say about you, especially about your grappling and just like how far you've come. I know he's been coaching you over at Untamed. Shout out to Untamed Jiu Jitsu over in is it West Covina?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, West Covina. Because I noticed, and I mean this as a compliment, of course, but I'm being sincere. The last time I rolled with you at an open mat, I was like, who the hell is this guy? Like, I don't remember this guy being able to, wrestle the way you were wrestling, which is it was very intense, and you were just, man, you were like trying to do takedowns on me, and I outweigh you like probably like 80 pounds.
Yeah.
And I just remember like, dude, who's this guy's giving me trouble? You know, and I'm a brown belt.
Yeah.
And you're a blue now, right?
Yes.
And well deserved, by the way.
Thank you.
And how what have you been doing, man? Like, what's going on? What's the secret for somebody who's maybe out there getting started in jiu-jitsu? Because I remember when I was coaching with you, I mean, you had come to my class a few times, so it wasn't like I was your coach or anything. But you came to my class a few times, and I remember your level was pretty good. You know, I was like, hey, this is a little dude, but he's keeping up with my 200-pound students that I had there, Josh and
the wrestlers,
the other guy, Mark, and I forget the other guy's name. It's off the top of my head. If I hope he doesn't see this, he's gonna get mad. Hey, you forgot my name. But yeah, the wrestlers. And I was like, oh, damn, this little dude's actually keeping up with these guys.
Yeah.
So I remember thinking, oh, he's pretty good. And then when I saw you again, you know, maybe like a month or when I wrestled with you, I was like, holy crap! This not only does this guy have the ears or not only has he got this new skill, but he's got the ears to match.
Yep.
So what have you been doing, man? Like what is it that you've been doing to get yourself from the level that you're at now?
So I really emphasize I try to emphasize on my stand up a lot. So I roll with shout out to Little Eric.
Oh yeah, that guy's a beast.
Yeah, and before the competition in back in February, I'm like,
What competition was that?
It was
Where were you?
NABJJF.
Oh, okay.
At
Cerritos College.
Yeah. So because I did nogi for the first time in the December tournament, same place, and I lost my other match because my takedowns. I kept my head down. There was a lot of things wrong with my takedown, so he sprawled on me and he won on points.
Okay.
So I was like, I really gotta emphasize. I gotta get better with my stand up. So I rolled with the person I like him, but rolling with him it's a challenge. It's a Little Eric.
Oh yeah.
So I'm like, dude, let's just practice stand up. I'm gonna work on my takedown defense, and for every time I was there at open mat, we just stand up and just wrestle. And he got me a bunch of times, but I learned from it. And I guess one thing I was doing differently, I wasn't afraid to learn and get tapped. I would I don't know if you know Tom from Untamed. He's a blue belt.
Absolutely.
I would let him take my back, which is just horrible. His grips are insane. It's a nightmare to get out of there. But I would put myself in these positions, and I figured if I'm able to get out of those positions with these really good grapplers, I'm gonna be fine.
I think that's an excellent strategy, actually. Sometimes I'll put myself in bad positions.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh crap, I'm not getting out of this. He's gonna tap me.
Yeah.
And that's a good strategy too, because if you just focus on winning all the time as opposed to learning, you're only gonna grow, so much.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're putting yourself in tough positions against tough and knowledgeable grapplers, you're certainly gonna learn faster. I think, in my opinion. So.
Yeah, definitely.
So what else were you doing?
Well,
it's kind of cool that you recognized that you had, you recognized your limitations or where you were struggling. Because some people might not think about that.
Yeah.
They won't even ponder on it, and then not even realize that they don't have a stand-up game.
Yeah. One other thing I was doing differently, Raul helped me a lot. I'm now teaching the kids class over there. I take over sometimes, but most of the time it's me and him. And since I'm teaching them my techniques, I really have to make sure I'm doing them right. And like how Anthony was saying, everything you show them, they're gonna replicate. So you have to be sharp and good. And just showing them all the fundamentals and making sure my game is good as well. So teaching the kids has helped out a lot. Dude,
that's sick. So you're teaching at Untamed now.
Yeah,
Untamed
pretty
Jiu-Jitsu.
much.
And what old are the kids that you're working with?
From 4 to all the way to 12.
All the way down to 4, huh?
Yep.
Okay. And how do you like it?
It was challenging at first because it's like teaching somebody is just one thing, and then teaching a child, it's another thing because I had to learn how they pay attention, how they listen, what interests them. And, I wasn't going to show them De La Hiva or anything like that.
Yeah, you got to keep it simple.
Yeah, I think one time I was trying to show them pummeling drills, and then I'm like, yeah, this is not going to work. So I was like, let's keep it simple, guys. Just I taught them how to grip break because I noticed their stand-up was not as good. But now their stand-up is getting really good. So I taught them double leg and then ankle picks, snap downs. So all these fundamentals. And it's a good feeling because now they're getting it. It's a great experience, and I think everybody should try it.
I agree. I think everybody should try coaching because it's been said to me plenty of times. I think the first time I heard it was from my coach Noah Tillis, where he essentially said that if you could teach kids, you could teach anybody.
Yeah,
because when I first started. When I first got some experience coaching at Noah's, he had a large class and it was just him.
Yeah.
And I offered to help, and he, luckily he said, yeah, go ahead and help me out on the mat. And this was at our old gym. And he would give me all the kids that didn't listen.
Yeah.
If you got a group of kids, they're the ones that would wander off. And he would be like, all right, you take that one, that one, that one, that one, that one, that one. And then he got all the kids that were capable of sitting still and listening. And then I took all the kids that didn't listen and didn't stay still, and it was like having a lasso wrangling them in most of the time.
He was like, "Here you go."
Yeah, and it was, yeah, exactly. And it was such a humbling experience because you realize that, you know, you start to realize that you got to really be on your A game with these kids, because otherwise you're gonna get lost. And, you know, I would feel myself sweating down the side of my, you know, cheek, just being nervous because, you know, all the parents are watching, and I'm just like, man, I don't want to screw this up. And I tried everything. You know, I tried bringing different types of games, and, you know, I one time I got all the belts. Like, I bought a bunch of green belts, and I tied them together, and then I made them do a tug of war. And I was always trying to find new ways to make it fun for them. And there was this one day, it was a really humbling experience, but there was this one day where I the night before, I concocted this plan, like a lesson for the kids, and it was all about the pins. We have, like, Noah has pins 1 through 5, and it's Kasakatami or Mount or North South, you know, different stuff, right?
Right.
So I was working with them on doing transitions, you know, from Kasakatami to reverse Kasakatami to Mount to North South. And these kids were like deer in headlights, you know? Yeah. And they just didn't get it. It was just too much for them to process. And Noah came up to me after the class, and he's like, hey, man, you know, that was pretty cool, you know, like a cool lesson. I mean, that'd probably be a cool lesson for adults class, you know, maybe not, but he's like, I get what you're trying to do, but he's like, dude, you got to keep it simple, you know? And I had to really go home and think about that. And I ended up, you know, resulting in stuff like you said, like grip breaks, or bump sweeps, where it's just like you're on your back and then you bump and you're on your top. That's as simple as you could possibly get it, you know?
I have a similar story, because I was trying to teach them transitions, you know, from side control to north south to side control again, knee on belly, mount, and then dismount to knee on belly, and then side control. His name's Professor Toro. He taught us that. It's called a circle of control. And I tried teaching that to the kids. And then exact thing you said, deer in headlights. Like, I showed, okay, this is how you do it, guys. You go here. And then they're like, they didn't get it. I was like, all right, I'm just going to show you an arm bar from Mount.
Who's this professor you're talking about?
His name's Professor Mario. I'm not sure what his last name is,
but he goes
by Toro. I don't know which gym he's at exactly. But I usually catch him at the open mat in Legacy, West Adams.
Okay. So have you been visiting a lot of different gyms? Is that part of your strategy for how you've been, you know, upping your game?
I wouldn't say I would visit a lot of different gyms, but I visit, you know, Noah's at Tillis. It's game changer because everybody's good.
You know what? I forget you're not from our gym. I mean, you come so often. You're like one of us. As far as I'm concerned, you're one of us. But you're actually from Untamed, and you're visiting at our gym. Well, Untamed's an affiliate of ours. Yeah. Okay. So what other gyms do you go to?
I went to Sector, and man, they are competitive.
Yeah, those guys are tough.
Yeah, so I was like, and I didn't want to do it. I did not want to be there and get destroyed. But I knew if I wanted to get better, I had to put myself in uncomfortable situations. Absolutely, like that. You know, rolling with a spazzy white belt that was probably trying to hurt me, and same thing with the blue belts. But I don't regret it because it's made me improve a lot, and it's helped me think. Instead of trying to match their aggression, I just learned to like, okay, let me think. All right, this guy's going to do this. I'm going to do this. So it helped me strategize better and feel more calm in the heat of the moment.
Right. They got some really good guys over there at Sector. They got this one guy. He's got a bald head. I forgot his name. It's like Mike or Eric or Mark or something like that. Tough guy, man. He's only a blue belt, man, but he's giving me a real run for my money. You know? Yeah. Hasn't tapped me yet, but I know for sure he probably would if, you know, pretty soon. Yeah. And, you know, I don't know if you know, they recently closed their open mats. Yep. Yeah, I don't know what that's about, but do you?
Yeah, I actually reached out to them. I was like, hey, why are you guys closing down the open mats? You know, it's a really good spot for open mats. You know, a lot of great competitors. And absolutely, like, it was getting too packed, and they wanted another kids class. Wow. So I was like, oh, okay. So, but now we have an open mat at Untamed on Sundays.
Is that right? Okay. Yep. And how's the turnout over there?
Turnout's it's like this. but I understand that because like it's still kind of new and
the size is small. I mean,
yeah,
I don't know how that plays into it, but one thing I noticed about the gym is kind of small.
it is.
And it's hard to grow, or at least I don't know for certain because I've never had my own gym, but I would imagine it's hard to grow when your gym's small. You know, it's really tough to get a lot of people in there, you know?
Yeah. But it's very clean. The mats feel like clouds, you know, so practice all the takedowns you want over there. And everybody's welcome Sunday at 10.
Yeah. And that's in the city of West Covina, right?
Yes, sir.
Untamed Jiu Jitsu, guys. If you guys want to get some good rolls in, you go to Untamed Jiu Jitsu over in West Covina at what time?
At 10 a.m.
10 a.m. You heard it right here. So what's next for you as far as competition goes? When are you registered for anything? Are you doing the OC Open, for example?
No, I'm not, because as a white belt, I wanted to soak in as much knowledge as I could get prior to competing. But so right now I just got my blue belt, and I do think it's a good idea to compete so I could learn. But, you know, I'm doing other things on the side right now. With flying, I'm working on my instrument rating, so I'm studying for that.
What is that?
So basically, one of the limitations that you have as a private pilot, you cannot fly past 18,000 feet, and you can't fly into the clouds. You actually have to remain a certain distance away, because it's like it's like driving your car with a blanket over the windshield. You know, and it's very easy to get disoriented, and you could, that's with the Kobe crash, that's exactly what happened. The pilot flew, he was flying visually, he flew into a cloud, he got disoriented, so he couldn't fly the heli straight and level, and he crashed into the mountain.
Interesting. So no one's ever allowed to fly into clouds, or only commercial airliners, or how does that work?
So like if you have an instrument rating, you could take that little airplane, assuming the airplane's also instrument rated.
Well, what is an instrument rating or whatever that is?
So like basically that allows you to fly into the clouds.
Is it an instrument?
Yes, instrument.
Okay, so it's a piece of machinery on the plane. All planes have this, or?
So it's like you're looking at your instruments on the airplane. Some airplanes have a GPS too, but instead of looking at, in our private pilot training, we're told to look outside, look at all the visual things, and then when you work on your instrument rating, you don't look out there anymore. You look down here at your instruments.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So that requires more hours of training.
Yeah, 50 hours. Yeah, another 50 hours.
Okay. So you want to fly in a cloud?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's so cool. Like, especially like when it's foggy, and then you're like, oh, I can still fly. I have an instrument rating. File, and you take off, and you break through the clouds. I haven't done it yet, but they say it's the coolest feeling ever.
No kidding. Yeah. Well, I think just being in a plane in general is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been on an aircraft before. Yeah. But I've never been on something really small.
I think I'd take you, man.
Yeah, that'd be cool, man. I think I'd be scared. You know, you might have to comfort me here and there. But
you'll be fine. It's like you mentioned you flew on an airplane before, like a big air.
Yeah,
airplane.
you know, like
it's like that. It's exactly like that. You know,
so the same kind of ride, nice and smooth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
especially me. I'm a good pilot.
I'm sure you are, man. I mean, that'd be really fun to do something like that. You know, go up in a plane and just go. You know, get up. I remember, not to get all off in the weeds here, but I remember there was a time a few years ago when people were debating whether the Earth was flat or not.
Oh,
remember all that crap? And I remember like, man, I got to get me up in an airplane. I want to see, you know, what these guys with these nuts are talking about.
Yeah.
But so getting on an airplane is definitely something on my bucket list. Get up there. Yeah, you let me know anytime.
For sure.
So back to jiu-jitsu. What is your favorite go-to submission that you have? Like, what's your game? What's your style?
My style, I like to wrestle up, but when it comes to standing up, sometimes I'll pull guard, but I usually like to wrestle more. I like throws if I can get them. Yeah. But I go for singles, fake guard. Well, I'm saying all my secrets now, but fake guard pull to ankle pick, and then I usually my favorite. A lot of people know this. It's my own over under pass. I love that thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And for the submission, I love arm bars. Arm bars, and it's funny because that was the one thing I was struggling with at the beginning. I couldn't get them, and then
arm bars.
Yeah, arm bars. And then I don't know what it was. I don't know who told me, but somebody said, "Dude, just pinch your legs together and control the wrist." I'm like, okay, I'll do that, and then they started coming. I started getting the taps.
Now, are you at a level now where you see arm bars everywhere? Let me explain that a little bit. So one thing that I've noticed, and I talk about this a lot when I teach, is that when you get to a certain level, there's arm bars. You start to see arm bars everywhere, and not just regular arm bars, but reverse arm bars and different setups for the arm bars. I mean, I'm at a level now where I can arm bar you anywhere. You know, I just see it. Well, I missed that one. Oh, I'm gonna get it over here. They're just everywhere.
Yeah.
Are you at that point now where you start to see them and recognize that they're literally everywhere?
Definitely not, but sometimes I'll get a arm bar from the weirdest angle, and then even the other guy's like, dude, how'd you see that? I'm like, I don't even know, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. That sounds like you're in the beginning stages of getting there.
Definitely.
Absolutely, man. Arm bars are one of my favorites too. Mm-hmm. And I also think guys who have that, you said earlier that you push for the, how did you phrase it? You push for the stand up. I got the impression that you
wrestle up.
Yeah. So if you're on the ground, rather than just stay on your back, it sounds like you're like, no, screw that. I'm getting back up to my feet. Like I'm gonna muscle my way back to my feet and force that guy to have to wrestle me back to the ground. Mm-hmm. Is that right?
Yeah, I love half guard. Half guard is one of my things, and that's where I usually wrestle up from. But probably not for long, since I'm saying it on here. Now everybody's gonna know my game.
No, I wouldn't worry.
Yeah,
I mean, the funny thing about jiu-jitsu, man, is that's what I love, the fact that we share knowledge with each other. I've heard stories of dudes being like, I ain't showing you that, or I'm not going to share this with you. For the most part, I see people openly share information, and it doesn't matter. I mean, there's dudes that have showed me things, and I'm like, okay, now I know. And then they still do it on me like a boa constrictor. Here I come. I'm about to choke you out with this rear naked choke. Can you stop it? Can you stop it? He couldn't stop it.
That's the goal, man. I want to be able to, for people to know what I'm going to do and what I'm going to try, but I want to still be able to execute it.
They can't stop it.
Just like how Khabib.
Yeah.
He's going to take you down and submit you. And everybody knew that. But did they stop him?
You can't stop it.
No. Can't stop it.
Yeah, okay, that's pretty ambitious. You want to be like the one of the best ever. That's great, man.
Yeah,
I think you can. Honestly, I think that you're at a weight class and a level where you could be at the highest level in your bracket. Blue belt is a great place to be. It's an exciting belt, because it's fast. Everybody's hungry. They want to be the best. You get to be, I wouldn't know as a black belt because I'm not a black belt, but brown belt, you're kind of just like, I've been here before.
Yeah.
We're gonna be more technical, and I'm not gonna break a sweat. And if they did, you'd be like, dude, what's going on, man? We're brown belts, man. Calm down. Calm down. We could do this. Be boa constrictors. And so how many tournaments have you had as a blue?
As a blue?
Yeah.
None.
Nothing
so
yet. Okay.
Nothing yet. I'm trying to get acclimated to the belt. And Miguel. He's one of my coaches.
Stud,
he taught me everything. Shout out to him.
Yeah,
he's also kind of like an older brother figure to me. Mm-hmm. And I talked to him. I'm like, you know what? I think I'm just gonna wait, just how I did at white belt, and then train a lot, and then start competing regularly. And he's like, yeah, get acclimated to the belt, and that's what I'm doing right now. But I really miss competing, and I want to get back to it this year.
Yeah, me too, man. I haven't done much competitions as a brown belt, maybe 3.
Yeah.
I got one coming up this 2 weeks from now, the OC International Open in, I think it's Hope University in Fullerton.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's usually a good one. A lot of good competition out of there. I'm doing both the gi and no gi.
Nice.
So I might, I always regret when I sign up for both. Have you ever done that? Signed up for both gi and no gi in the same tournament?
Yeah. Why would you regret it?
Because you get tired after day 1.
Oh.
And then day 2, you're just like, man, I really just want to sleep and recover.
I don't have that problem since I'm young.
Yeah.
I'm 21.
Not an old man like me.
Yeah, man, not there yet. But I could understand that.
Yeah, I've done that a couple of times, and I'm just like, man, I know people who are like, you know what, man, I'm just gonna skip Sunday, no gi day.
Yeah.
How's your no-gi? Well, you like wrestling, so it shouldn't be too bad.
It's decent, but I'm really, I like to be a little hard on myself. You know, I'm still blues. There's way more room for improvement. So I think it's okay. You know, one time I was doing no-gi with little Eric, and he only took me down once. I see that as a win because, you know, his extensive wrestling background. But my takedowns have gotten better, but I feel like I'm pretty decent where I'm at with as far as my no-gi goes. But I want to get way better, especially if I'm going to do it at blue.
You know what I didn't realize was how good Eric is.
Yeah.
Because our weights are so... I've never rolled with a dude, I don't think, ever. Yeah. Because I'm like, I outweigh him by 100 pounds, and we just never matched up.
Yeah.
But I've been hearing a lot of good things about that guy. My wife tells me all the time how tough he is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my wife's a good judge of that stuff. As you know, my wife's pretty tough. And she's like, man, that little guy gives me a lot of trouble, you know. And so I like to talk to that guy.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't realize, what a high-level practitioner he is.
He's very good and very competitive too, and you know he's got that wrestler stamina. He's always on you, and I'm like, this is his strategy. He goes around to my back, and I'm trying to hip out, and basically we're kind of stuck there. He takes my back or whatever. So with him, that's where I kind of work my guard game. Yeah, and occasionally I'll try to wrestle with him.
Do you have a good pool of guys that are about your guys' size? Do you feel like you have a good pool of dudes that are the same weight class as you?
At Tillis, I feel like there's a good handful. You know, like Nathan Palmer. He's like I'm not tall, but he's 6'1", 6'2".
Is he that tall?
Yeah, at least 6 feet, and he weighs the same as me.
Oh wow!
And he's like what, 2-stripe white belt. That guy's so good. He got me one time with a Darce.
Is that right?
Yeah, I'm like, dude.
Those got to be pretty easy for him if being thin and having long arms. You know?
Yeah,
a Darce is something you kind of need some long arms for.
Yeah, I was able to get it, with my arms, but it's definitely easier with longer arms. Like I could still close triangles with my legs, but with somebody who's longer, I can imagine it's much easier.
Yeah. So aside from jiu-jitsu and being a pilot, how do you spend your days?
For me, if I said, hey, I'm gonna go make some money today, I go out. I usually go out with another guy. We go knock doors and we do window cleaning.
Yeah, is that right?
That's how I'm paying for my training right now, and it's very good.
Window cleaning.
Yes.
Oh, that's great, man.
Door to door.
And you go out and you find you mean like house to house?
Yep.
Oh, that's something.
Yeah.
And people, so you buy yourself some squeegees or something? Or?
Yeah, squeegees, soap, and a ladder, and some rags, and I just hit the pavement.
Dude, that's a great idea, man.
Yeah, I got the idea from, I was working at Spectrum as a door-to-door salesman.
I remember you were in sales.
Yeah. And I got a funny reason why I quit. Because we were going from 11 to 8 o'clock at night, knocking doors. And first of all, that's exhausting. And second of all, after 7 o'clock, people don't want to be bothered, Right. And I didn't like that I was forced to do that. But it taught me a very important thing. It's taught me how to sell. And I remember one month I wasn't meeting like the quota. And then like my supervisor was always calling me. And he knew I did jiu-jitsu. And one day he's like, hey, you don't mind if I'm frank with you, right? I'm like, no. And he's like, dude, screw your jiu-jitsu. I want you to like work this weekend. And then after that same weekend, I'm like, I saw the guys on YouTube cleaning windows. They're making a lot of money, like more than $1,000 a day. I'm like, I could do this. And I said, see ya. I quit.
And as those are the kind of days you're having?
What's that?
And you're having those kind of days, like where you're racking in $1,000 in a day cleaning windows?
No, but I totally can. But like today, I went out with my buddy. And in less than 30 minutes, he closed a deal. It was like $150. So, but today we finished off total profit. We split the profits in half at around $500, $553.
Wow.
Yep.
Dude, that's sick.
Yeah.
And let that be a lesson for anybody who thinks you can't go out there and make some cheese. Being innovative and just, what do you think? Well, obviously you learn the skill of door to door through Spectrum. And I think that's an amazing skill to have, because I really think that sales is like where you want to be.
Yeah.
You know, being able to sell.
And like school, school wasn't for me. I just, you've taught me before, like sometimes I'm just doze off, you know, like it's, you know, I don't know why I do that, but like, you know, especially at school, I hate like sitting in one place, just being forced to listen to somebody for like hours and hours on end. Right. I'm like, I'm not going to really attain most of the information. And my brother-in-law, he's the one who, you know, shout out to him. He's the one who showed me the job at Spectrum, and he was making a lot of money there.
No kidding.
And he's like, you could do it too. And I'm like, dude, this guy doesn't even have a college degree, and he's making this much amount of money. And I was like, yeah, I think sales is the route for me. And I think school is good only if you know what you want to do.
Yeah,
I'm not putting it down.
No, absolutely. I mean, in school, I just think school's expensive.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
I don't think that they teach people how to make money. You know, I have this argument with my mom all the time about, you know, because for my daughter, she's always telling her things like, oh, you're going to go to college someday and this and that. And I'm like, I hope she's going to pay for it, because, you know, I don't see the value anymore. I mean, that may have been a good route or a good way to go when you were growing up. But these days, students are coming out of college with $100,000 worth of debt and can't find a job. And, you know, and you hear stories from, like, you know, Warren Buffett or different guys who are, you know, rich, like, I don't know, Steve Jobs and people like that, maybe even Elon Musk, who went to a year of college. And then obviously these are extreme examples, but it's clear to me that you can make a lot of money in business, sales, and you don't need to go to college to learn those skills. In fact, you're less likely to learn those skills going to college than you would be if you just got out into the workforce and just put one foot in front of the other.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like, think about it for this podcast. If I were to go to college to learn podcasting, I probably wouldn't learn much. No. You know, but I'm learning a lot just by doing and, you know. Hands-on training. Yeah. And you just don't get that, I think, these days. The mere fact that you went out and started a window cleaning business, most people would be like, cleaning windows, like, I'll leave that for those guys.
Or I could do it myself. I hear it all, man.
Right? Oh, you hear it from potential customers. I could clean these myself.
Yeah, and like those are just kind of objections. Some people are trying to see, like, okay, how good can this guy actually close me? And like, you know, some salesmen, they don't know how to keep it going. So but you know, there's a way to keep, like, addressing that objection. We call them objections. Right. And so you don't sound annoying. Like, so if somebody says, oh, I could do it myself, I'm like, yeah, that's cool. How do you reach the hard to reach windows on the second story? You know, and then the conversation keeps going, and they're like, oh, well, I actually don't. And I go, well, that's why I'm here.
I like that, yeah. And that's probably something you learned at Spectrum?
No. I learned from these other guys on YouTube. Doing it. Yeah.
They're talking about objections and stuff.
Yeah.
You see, so you could learn. I used to make this joke, and it's just a joke, but there's some truth in it. I used to say, oh man, you can learn to do just about anything on YouTube, like even heart surgery. You know what I mean? If you want,
it's crazy.
Crazy.
It's a university.
Learn. Yeah, it really is.
A free university.
And that's kind of like what my goal for this show is. There's a lot of things that, you know, guys and girls, you know, deal with on a regular basis. You know, like what you're talking about right now, or like there's things about, you know, you're not married, but there's people who are married and they need information, or they're grieving a loss of a family member or something like that, or like there's so many things that we deal with on a regular basis. And like the reality is that you can get a lot of answers on YouTube or on a podcast platform. Yeah, you don't have to go to college to be able to learn certain things. And you know, a lot of and before the internet, people didn't know where to find information. The things that you can learn, like you can learn to fly. I mean, did you ever like go on YouTube to learn stuff about when you were studying for your pilot's license?
Oh yeah,
you know, I
would hear they would record these, for the actual, there's an oral exam that goes into the private pilot. The examiner just asks you questions for 2 hours, and there's some recorded exams. And when I was working at Vaughn's, I didn't care what hours I was working. I was working a bunch of hours, including the graveyard shifts. So I was just stocking shelves at night, and I would be listening to YouTube as I was doing it.
So they have a 2-hour oral exam? Where they grill you for 2 hours?
Yeah, I studied for months. It's a hard test.
I bet. But having YouTube available for while you're working and listening to those things, I would suppose, would reinforce, what you're trying to learn. Because I know when I was in law school, when I was in law school, I watched a lot of YouTube videos.
Yeah, it helps.
It totally helped.
It sounds silly.
Half my studying was watching YouTube videos.
They
teach you all the different writing or the different causes of action that you can learn, that you need to know for when you take the exam. And I would always get through the test by learning from just watching the videos.
It's crazy. At first I was skeptical. is this actually going to help me? And I was like, wow, it actually shared more information than I actually needed to know on the exam.
Right.
And yeah, it's helped me a lot. I don't because me, I like to do hands-on. I'm a visual guy.
Absolutely, yeah.
Reading a book, after I really have to discipline and focus myself to read a book or write down notes or even go back to look at notes. And watching a video is so much more easier for me. And I understand a bit better.
I mean, I think there's value in reading books.
Definitely.
But, I could only read for two hours,
Yeah.
Like a really good reader can probably read for 3.
Yeah.
But I could only really stay engaged and without straining my eyes for an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yeah.
To stay engaged in a book. But man, having, those supplemental resources like YouTube, to reinforce what you're trying to learn is critical.
It
makes life
crazy.
so much easier. Yeah, it makes life so much easier. I mean, talk about learning how to fly an airplane.
Yeah.
You're gonna be able to stay engaged with a book. Talking about these different types of what'd you call that machine that you need to fly through the clouds?
Oh yeah, it's a license, instrument rating.
Yeah, your instrument rating. Like you're gonna look at diagrams and it's funny because you always I'll catch myself saying, "Oh, I read this book," and then I catch myself, "You're lying. You watched a YouTube video."
Yeah, and it sounds silly when you say it, but it sounds much better if I read this book and this is what I learned versus I watched this video. This is what I got. It sounds so
yeah.
Yeah.
When I hear someone say, "Oh, I read this," I was like, I'm skeptical. And you probably learned that from YouTube.
Yeah. Hey, but it works.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it
works.
So you got this new. Is it new? The window washing thing?
Yeah. Actually, I've been at it for a couple months, so relatively new. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and again, I think that's pretty impressive because most people will, they're looking for not a handout, but they're looking for someone to give them a job.
Right.
As opposed to going out there and creating your own job.
Mm-hmm.
I created this company called Legal.guy. I do child custody and divorce stuff.
Okay.
Help self-represented litigants perform their own paperwork and all that kind of stuff. And brings in a little bit of money. I mean, it's not paying all the bills, but it's something.
Yeah.
It could be more if I wanted it to. I just hate doing it.
Yeah, I think that's one thing. When you watch YouTube videos, they help you, but it's one thing trying to learn the what they're actually saying, but it's another thing actually applying it and doing it. I think that's the biggest thing nowadays because a lot of people want to start a business or they want to start doing this, and then they have trouble applying that.
Absolutely. What do you think attributed to your willingness, whether it be the courage to go out there and do it, actually walk up, say, man, I'm going to start this business. And the first thing I have to do is go walk up to strangers and, what was the process? How did you get yourself comfortable with actually going out there and talking to people?
So for me, getting into window cleaning was actually relieving from leaving Spectrum because I no longer had to wear a Spectrum shirt. I no longer had to carry an iPad. I didn't look like a salesman. Now I could go out. I went out like this today, a black shirt and pants with Air Forces, and I made some money like that. So when I was working back at Spectrum, some people would like open the door and they would see my shirt and they would just slam it right away. Now, I don't think I've had a bad interaction because a lot of people respect me more for doing my business. So I remember that, and it's comforting. So I would say it's easy. I got into it kind of easy, but knocking doors is never easy. Yeah. And like some days I'm like, dang, I don't want to work today, man. But
right. So do you think like people are like, oh, look at this young, hardworking American coming to my door and trying to earn a living? Like, you kind of respect that, huh?
Yeah. So, but some people like they'll still see you like as a solicitor, and they'll be like, oh, what do you want? Oh no,
right,
not interested. So
you're not. So, but your goal is not to sell everybody. I mean,
no, it's a numbers game.
Yeah, it's a numbers game, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. And just make the most out of it.
And you could how many houses or windows do you got to clean in a day to earn this? You said you've gotten as high as $500.
Yeah, so that's like it could be 2 window cleaning jobs. It could probably be 3. I charge like if it's a single story home, I would charge anywhere from $100 to $200. If it's a 2-story, anywhere from $200 to $300.
Now, is that just the outside windows or that's inside and out?
No, just the outside. But like I know it just sounds like we're wiping down glass. We actually do the frames and then the tracks where the windows slide and the screens. So the process is pretty tedious.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot. Yeah, it's nice.
And then taking out the screen. So at first I was like, man, why are these guys charging this much? And then I actually did it, and it took me like 4 or 5 hours to clean all the windows on the outside. I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
That makes sense.
I don't feel bad charging that much.
So 150, you're saying, like for a house like this one, probably be more than that, right?
Like around 200, 250.
And you got a ladder that you can get up high. And
I actually have a long pole too because I'm scared of heights.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm scared of heights too, man.
Yeah, dude.
And that's funny coming from a guy who's a pilot.
Yeah, like when I'm up there, I'm comfortable, dude. Like I'm sitting down. I'm like I have one hand on the yoke, and then I'm just like, all right, cool, we could descend. But when I'm on the ladder, I feel it shake. And I'm like, I don't feel safe. Oh. I don't want to. I want to get down.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I could be on a short ladder, like nothing too high, and be on the on the top, working on something, and I'm freaking out.
Yeah,
from the height.
Yeah, and I think that's a natural thing, because like our body's telling us, hey, dude, you're getting close to falling.
Danger.
Get out of there.
Yeah. I don't think I'll ever be able to overcome my fear of heights. I mean, I just don't think I could. I don't know where it comes from, but I just,
it's just a survival instinct,
Yeah, super scary. I think you're right. So I think that's kind of cool. The area that you work in is where, by your house, like Diamond Bar? Or?
I've been to a lot of areas. So, but today I was by my house. I was in Diamond Bar.
Okay. Yeah. You know what's kind of cool about it too?
What?
I wonder if or my brain's already going. But the windows get dirty again. You get a good client, give them your number or whatever. Like, hey, my windows are dirty again. I'm going to call that kid who came out here and cleaned them the last time, assuming you still have his card or you give him your number. And that's repeat business. Like, so then has that happened to you? Yeah, has that happened to you? Like where you got a call from someone you had done before?
So not in a negative way. They're like, oh, how often do I have to do it? Oh, every 6 months and then I do have a couple of those people that every 6 months it's recurring. I go to them, but for somebody to call me to come clean it up because I did something wrong, not really, because I usually walk around with them at the end, make sure everything's right. And when it rains, that's the biggest objection I get when it rains. They're like, oh, I would get them done, but it's going to rain. And I go.
And dirt.
Yes.
Comes down. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, yeah, you're right. But the windows do not get dirty. Yeah, they kind of get dirty from the wind, but they actually get dirty because of the dirt on the top of the frames. And when it rains, the dirt seeps down. And then once they understand that, they're like, oh, okay, when can we do it?
So you're going to take that dirt off, and that'll prevent it from getting dirty.
Exactly.
That makes total sense. What other kind of, is that the only thing you thought of when you were deciding to go off on your own? Or like if someone else wants to start a business, what would you recommend? I think there's a lot of dudes out there that are like, man, I need a side hustle or I need a hustle. Because guys like me and you are I'm the type of guy that doesn't want to work for somebody.
Me too.
I want to work for myself.
Yeah.
That's why I started Legal.guy. It's why I started this podcast. You know, it's the reason why I do certain things that I do, because I don't want to work for somebody else.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of ideas could you give guys out there who are looking for their own little side hustle? Do you have any that you could share? Or that's another reason why I want to teach jiu-jitsu, because I was like,
Yeah.
well, shoot, I could work a couple hours a day, have a school, and have time to do, you know, work when I want to work. You know, I don't know about work when you want to work with, you know, teaching jiu-jitsu, because the class is when the class is. But certainly frees up a lot of your time to take privates and, you know, work when you kind of want to, kind of.
Yeah, definitely. Jiu-jitsu is a good asset, especially when you have a black belt and you could open up your academy. You look good. You have a black belt. But for anybody that I'd recommend, I won't say anything because I don't know. This is all I know, what has worked for me. And I'd say knocking doors. It's jiu-jitsu has given me a confidence that I never knew that I had. And I applied that at door to door, and door to door helped me get even more confident, because like before I used to struggle holding conversations. I'm like, how could I get better at this? And when I started doing door to door, I was forced to get better at it. And now I feel like I can't stop talking. I think Anthony said that I talk a lot.
Yeah. No, but that's good for me because we're on a podcast. So it's good that you're talking. But I like what you're saying. Like, jiu-jitsu gave you the confidence. And I'm assuming that's because in jiu-jitsu, you're forced to, like you said, you put yourself in uncomfortable situations.
Exactly, yeah.
And you overcome those situations. In jiu-jitsu, you look for ways out. And you look for ways through certain problems. And I think that's a great connection between jiu-jitsu and real life. Yeah. Where you're going to have to put yourself in uncomfortable situations. You're going to have to as they say, get comfortable being uncomfortable, and be willing to put yourself in hard situations so that you could apply that same skill set that you learn in jiu-jitsu in real life. Yeah, it's crazy. And like before jiu-jitsu, I was not confident at all, because I was like, kind of hesitant. And then like, once I started getting good at jiu-jitsu, it taught me that if you put enough work into something, you're eventually going to get good at it. And I did that with jiu-jitsu, and I didn't feel like a loser anymore. I'm confident, and like, anybody could tell me anything bad, and I'll be like, all right, cool, Isn't jiu-jitsu great? I love it, man. I love that, man. I love that. And I have seen change in you. Not so much with the confidence. You've always seemed like a pretty confident guy since I met you, but you were already doing jiu-jitsu. Yeah. But I've definitely seen growth, especially in your jiu-jitsu game, man. And I'm really excited to see, and I'll be watching you to see what, in your jiu-jitsu journey and in life and stuff. And I really want to thank you for coming out here today and be willing to come on the show. Because I think you got an interesting story, and you got a lot of promise going on in the future. Thank you. I think that I'm hoping that people got a lot of value in today's podcast. So thank you again for coming, David. So too. Thank you. Thanks for having me. And so we'll catch you on the next one. I hope that you'll come back in the future. Absolutely. And give us an update on how you're doing and what's going on with your business and what's going on with your jiu-jitsu. All right, man. So thanks a lot. I appreciate you coming out.